Hi friends, I'm on for a change. I haven't been here in a while. I've been busy. It's been a good year. I've had a lot of pet commissions, but I'm pretty caught up even though Christmas is so close, so I thought I'd come on and try to do a little painting for you. I was looking at some of my photos today, and this is one I took actually back in 2020. It was during that terrible year. My husband and I took a day to go over into a close county and went to a park just to get out of the house. And I took this picture. Look at that car. I think there's a person in there. Obviously there must be. It's on the road, right? But I took this and I played around and I cropped in pretty close because I wanted the car to be bigger. So we're going to do it on an 8x10 Centurion panel. I maybe should have toned it. I always say I should have toned it once I get to that point, but I didn't. So this is what we're doing. So let's grab a brush. And if you've never painted a car or truck, I've done some. I have to say they can be tricky to get the proportions right. And there's lots of ways we could go at it. We could, do an outline drawing. I'm going to see where, that's kind of where the grass hits. There's a line going across there, and the road travels back, and it almost looks like it curves off and back that way, which might be more interesting actually. Maybe get some sky holes back here. So we'll just kind of see where things hit on the canvas. But again, if you've never done a vehicle, they can be challenging. I'm trying to look at the width of the thing. Holding my brush out, putting it on the photo, seeing how far over. Of course, I have the camera between you and the photo, so it is a little tricky. I think that's about right. And it goes pretty tall and fairly low on the canvas. So, see, it's pretty big. I thought it would be more interesting if it covered a lot of the canvas. So we're just going to real loose, just try to get our bearings. And I did a workshop one time where she had us start our sketch. We did this kind of thing and we just blocked in. And I know there are people that paint like that. I've seen videos of, if you know who David LaFell is, excellent artist. I think he starts his portraits that way. Okay, wait a minute. This line that I've got here is actually the back end, which comes over. So let's wipe a little bit of that off. Excuse me. So welcome to my channel if you're new. We do have some new subscribers. I'm out of Ohio. I'm a full-time artist. I work in water mixable oils. They're just oils. Work like oils, dry like oils. I always say the same thing over and over if you're not familiar with them, but less toxic. And that's really why I made the switch. That's a shadow actually. So again, we're just trying to find our way here. With the water mixables, you could dip into a little water. I try to stay out of the water myself. This would be one that, especially a car, because it's very tricky, that it would be nice to probably grid so you had everything right. Well, we're just going to take our time, try to get the proportions right before we start laying any color down. Someplace I have a really old thing that a dear friend gave me years ago. Right now, I'll show it to you. I see it over there. She was a watercolorist and did these, which you have to prepare ahead with watercolors and do your sketch first. You know how it is. And she was very particular. But she gave me this years ago. She's passed away since. Very old. John Pike, wonderful perspective machine. It's in the old case. But what this is, which I have never used it, you lay a photograph on it. Can you even read that? It says perspective. And you lay a photograph on it. It has a little grid. And this is magnetic. You could figure the angles that way. But anyway, I suppose you could lay a photo right on it and use it that way. Or behind it probably to get your grid lines. I think that's how you would use it now that I think more about that. Because if you, like a value thing too, if you look through it and everything's blue, you know, then you're looking at value. Like you do with red. I have a pair of red glasses, so, you know, it's an interesting old thing, isn't it? I should actually use it sometime, but thought you'd enjoy seeing that. I'm sure it's not, I don't know, you might be able to buy a version of it now. I bet it's really old. All right, I'll shut up. We'll get back to our car here. So again, take your time on the sketch. I always say that this is your painting. You know. We get something a little darker for the areas that are darker. So I think there has to be a person in that, though I can't really see. The headlights are on and he's on the road, so there obviously has to be a person. I don't know cars that well. Do you? Do you know what kind of car this is? Years ago I did a blue truck. This is a truck. I keep saying car, but this is actually a truck. And it's, again, I struggle with getting things right on it. The mirror is coming out in there. Part of what I liked about this, I think, is the color of it. Really unusual. So again, before I start laying color, I want to feel like I've got it pretty right, you know. Sun must have been almost overhead because it's casting a slight shadow out this way. There's a shadow back here on the road. I like that. Even I'll be happy if we just get the the car pretty blocked in, but I'm going to go ahead and put some of these darks back here that I see too. It's real bright green grass, but this dark goes right up to there. Are you ready for Christmas? Really pretty dark behind the most of it, really, back in here. We don't care about that mirror. Let's go over that mirror. Like I said, we do have, it looks like some sky holes, which might be nice. And then back in here, we're seeing some light through there. All right, let's look at him before we go any further. All right, let's mix up this funky gold color. I've got a few extra yellows on here. I usually work with a limited palette, a warm and cool of each primary, but I did put some ochre out. I did put some Indian yellow, which I usually do have out. And I don't know how it looks to you, but it looks, I see a lot of that Indian yellow. I've got cools up here reflected from the sky. So we'll try to kind of analyze what we see. All right, so I think I'm going to start because I do, again, I see a lot of that Indian yellow. So, but that's transparent. I'm going to put some of that out here. And there are some areas of it that are darker and cooler. So we'll mix some blue in there, which is going to probably pull it toward, of course it will, toward green. But we can kill that green with a little red. Ran around today and delivered some goodies to my neighbors for Christmas. I make this stuff which you may be very familiar with. It's called Christmas crack. Oh my gosh, it is so good. There's lots of ways to make it and it's not difficult. You lay it down a bed of crackers. You can use saltines, I use graham crackers, and then you mix, I mixed a cup of butter and a cup of brown sugar in a pan, and you bring that to a boil, melt your butter down, and you just let it boil for about 3 minutes. So it's almost like a caramel, and you pour that on the crackers. Then you put it in a 400-degree oven for 5 minutes. Then when you bring it out, it is bubbling hot, and I sprinkle a bag of chocolate chips on it. And when they melt, I spread those around, and then I put M&Ms on it. But you could put peanuts or pretzel pieces or whatever you wanted. And then you let it chill. And then it's like a bark. And when it's completely cool, you break it into pieces. It's so good, let me tell you. Again, it's called Christmas crack. All right, we're going to just put in the darks first before we do anything else, where we see the darks. That may be too warm. This old area behind the grate is going to have to be pretty dark. This is dark inside the window, except you can see through, through the back there. And in the side windows, pretty dark too. I painted a truck, I guess it was last fall maybe. It was in the fall, it was full of flowers. It was just an old truck they parked in this flower shop. That was kind of fun to paint. I've still got it here someplace. I did Showcase of Arts recently. That's that show I do every year at the Women's Art Club, and usually a good show, and sell lots of little things. But I did sell my painting from Viewpoint. I don't know if you remember me showing that to you. It was a city scene of Bellevue, Kentucky. So that was nice. I sold that. The woman that bought it, her mother-in-law was from that city, and she was there the first day, and she went to talk to her siblings to see how they felt about buying that for their mom for Christmas. So boy, was I glad to see her show up the second day. Kind of made my show. All right. It's amazing what brushing it down, see the difference? If you brush across, it catches light. So I'm trying to analyze the color as I believe it or not, here it looks a little more red. This fender back in here. Let's catch a light at the very top. I actually prefer when they don't over restore an old car, Sometimes they look like brand new cars. I think it takes the character away. Just playing around and mixing. You know, it's a good chance I won't get this right the first time. I got to tell you, if you've never done a car or a truck or a train, or they're all challenging. I'm playing around and pulling color in and pulling color out. Even mixing some blue in there. Sometimes I'll just block it in the whole thing, and then I come back and try to start. You know, I could have just blocked it all in this general color is what I'm trying to say, and then came back in and started changing things, but it's just whatever you feel like doing. Good chance I'll be going over it all again anyway. And I can't see every detail, and I'm not sure I care, you know. I don't know how picky I want to get with it anyway. One thing you do have to be careful of is a lot of times they end up feeling like toys. Okay, if that windshield's about right, I've got to bring this down. If you know your cars, tell me what this is. Trucks. It's a truck. How many times am I going to call it a car? There's an old license plate on the front of it too, right there. I don't know if it says anything. We'll have to zoom in. I'm adjusting the negative shave of it too as I go along. You know, cutting into it. Okay. I don't want to commit to the headlights yet exactly, not that one anyway. Just looking for the areas where the light's hitting the hardest. seems to be the richest area there, you know, the most saturated color right in that area. And this is shadowed here, but of course we want it to still feel like it's yellow. Let's get a little detail brush out and we'll see if we can put some detail in. I'm going to try just blue and white for some of this chrome. It should work. All right, and I could zoom in. There's a light here and a light here. All right, let's see what we can do. And then we can always come back, you know, like with white and brighten it up more. Like I said, we'll see how far we get. I don't want to bore you. I keep saying this, but I need to take a class on editing videos. Then I could speed them up and just show you what I wanted to show you. I've said that before, and I had some people disagree that they didn't think they actually would like that. That they, I've always said when you watch mine, it's like being here in my studio because it's real time. But I sure could take some lessons. I see people do these videos where they must switch the camera around over and over and over. They show themselves plein air painting and they're walking into the scene and out of the scene, and I know that's a lot of work. Let me see if I'm over far enough. And I even see what almost looks like some green reflections. Like down in there. You know, and it depends on how picky you want to get. You could come in with a dark and, you know, really clean up these lines. And I've seen some people use rulers to draw lines. And let's zoom in on the license plate. Not that I want to copy it exactly. I wouldn't want to do that. I gotta say, the detail's kind of fun. I always say I consider myself to be an impressionist, but you can still do detail and be loose. I love Peter Brown, if you know who he is, and he does city scenes and very, very detailed, but he does them so well. I apologize if I'm knocking you around. It's just, I got my arm wrapped around you. How long we've been at this? 40 minutes. Oh, I'm seeing details now that I'm zoomed in. I think his arm is sticking out there. So that means the wind is down further. I said there's a mirror that comes out into this area. The more you look, the more you see. And that, like I'm seeing windshield wipers. Don't really know why they'd be up there, but they are. Yeah, I don't like that, so it's okay. Right, things come and go. I don't really care for that. Some wonderful reflected light over here. Yeah, I think that's his arm. What I can't see is any back end of the truck. I guess it's a truck. Maybe it's a car. I'm wondering now. Huh. All right, this has to come up quite a bit higher. Actually catching light. I'll have to ask my husband, he would know. Car or truck. Like I said, I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to turn the road back that direction. Okay, I see something we got to put in. Whatever it is. That doesn't look like anything, does it? We've already had a fair amount of snow this year for it being so early. Had to cancel my Monday Christmas party. First time I think we ever had to do that. It's just not worth somebody, and it was really cold. It's just not worth somebody taking a fall. Right, it's got really intensely bright little headlights. One is right here, and one is right here. And I think we'll come back and maybe lay some pure white on top of them. I think we'll just shift off to the truck and paint in some of this background. All right. Trying to determine if there's a mirror on this side of the truck. I think so. Been close to an hour. We'll at least go an hour here and then and that comes out. Oh, okay, I may have that a little low then. That comes out about down in there. And like I said, we've got a stripe, double stripe running across here. And a nice big shadow. Yeah, I'm going to move those sky holes up probably. We'll just get some color on here for now. I wonder if I see some stuff sticking out of the back of that truck, possibly. And there's a shadow there. one more thing maybe here before we let you go. Zoom in here. The mirror is like down here and goes out and into there. The other one, let's see. Can't see much. Can't really, but wouldn't you think it would hit about the same place? All right, that was about an hour. Long way to go. I'm going to get more sky hole color in here, and then I'll be running branches through the sky holes. You know, we want to do that. Maybe not with this brush, but you know, we'll run them across up into, you know, through the sky holes. And more variations of green. And again, this line will be that, you know, bright yellow color. It's on there, see? Like a cad yellow medium across there. And then Shikar needs more of a shadow. There's some weeds in there and more light. And I have to look at the truck really close and decide whether the proportions feel just right to me or not. And I can see some light from the road. When I paint the road in, I'll be putting some of that in. I can actually see part of a black tire right there too. And this tire will be much wider. So lots of tweaks. He's not bad though. I'm not saying it's perfect, but not too bad. It's a good start. Kind of fun, just a different subject. I felt like doing that. All right. Thank you for joining me. I'll get you in front of it. You can see a little bit better. So we'll take a better, more serious look at him and see if it, you know, it's really important that the drawing be correct. It might need to be a little wider through here. I'll take a good look at that. All right. Thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry I've been gone so long. Maybe with the new year we'll get more. I'll get on more. All right. Thanks again, and Merry Christmas to you, and Happy New Year. All right, watch for me in the new year.